When the National Resistance Army guerrilla fighters captured state power in 1986, though they were aware of the need for a constitution, they never rushed to enact one. It took 9 years to promulgate a new constitution in 1995. The group fresh from the bush opted to throw away the 1967 constitution after Rome 7's arch-political nemesis Apollo Milton Obote had superintended its enactment.
We had also seen the quarrels before. The quarrels of the kingdoms, the quarrels of land, the quarrels of religion. So we, as a new generation, we wanted to cut ourselves off.
It would be 10 years of President Museveni's stay in power without an election to legitimize his stay. 3 years of the 10 years had no elected parliament, as 38 bushfighters served in that capacity. However, in February 1989, general elections were held to expand the size of the 5th Parliament, christened the National Resistance Council, to 278 members, up from 38 members. Among the decisions taken by an unexpanded NRC were the conduct of the 1988 elections and the passage of the Uganda Constitutional Commission statute.
They were elected through electoral colleges, LC2s, executives are the ones who met at the county level and they elected a member of NRC. So the argument was, no, they don't have the mandate of the people.
They couldn't. How could they make a constitution themselves? Some of them were not knowledgeable about the history of Uganda.
A 21-member commission was instituted on 4th March 1989, chaired by now former Chief Justice Benjamin Odochi and deputized by Professor Dan Muguwa Mudola. Other commission members were Father Dr. John Mary Waligo, Secretary to the Commission, Wenkere Kisembo, the Assistant Secretary, Professor Edward Sempebwa, Professor Mukasa Mutibwa, Professor Andrew Otim, Miriam Matembe, Kali Kaihura, Dr. Kidu Makubuya, Med Kagwa, Lieutenant Colonel Serwanga Lwanga, Jotham Tumwesije, Azuz Kalunji Kasuja, George Foyuru, Constantine Rwaheru, Justin Okot, Cuthbert Obwongor, Mary Maitum, and Jotham Katera.
All my life I had wanted to see what the law, to change the law and make it positive for women. So when they told me Uganda Constitutional Commission, I thought that is the best in my life I could have.
3 members were replaced shortly after the commission was instituted, and these were Major General Mugisha Muntu, Dr. Adriko, and Gertrude Lubega Wiekwaso.
In that commission, we all bonded. Of course, there are people who were UPC, some were DP, me I was NRM, and some of us NRM. For instance, me, I left that commission. We finished the constitution without knowing the party of our chairperson.
The Odochi Commission had 2 broad mandates from which they were required to develop proposals for the enactment of a constitution to guarantee, among others, national independence and sovereignty, establish free and democratic system of governance, create political institutions to ensure orderly succession of government, demarcate divisions of responsibility between judiciary, executive and legislature, develop free and fair electoral system, and establish system of public accountability. Odochi notes in his book, The Search for a National Consensus, The Making of the 1995 Uganda Constitution, that the most distinctive feature of the constitution-making process in Uganda was the conducting of a nationwide civic education program to sensitize the people about the process, the constitution itself, and to promote a public debate on constitutional issues. He highlights that it was necessary to first prepare the people.
They collected views as low as LC3, sub-county, they weren't even the sub-counties, political parties, religious leaders, schools, 4 years.
The Odochi Commission structured the constitutional consultations based on 29 topics and 253 guiding questions. Odochi discloses in his book that the Ministry of Constitutional Affairs was a new and small ministry with mainly one program, the Uganda Constitutional Commission. Most of the ministry funds were intended for the commission, which led to some conflict over the expenditure of these funds.
Got an opportunity to bump into Museveni at State House. I said, you know what? We don't have resources. We are in trouble. We don't get money. Hey, after saying that, he told the finance, the budget, they made budget for us and our work started.
Odochi notes that when the financial constraints were addressed, officials at the Ministry of Justice and Constitutional Affairs diverted part of the funds provided by the donors. The situation resulted in the suspension of the funding, which Odochi cries that it led to a crisis At the most critical point in this work, namely the last 2 months of November and December 1992, a period that coincided with the deadline for submission of the report and the draft. Sections are dissatisfied with the Odochi process to this day.
Odochi designed questionnaires which negated fundamental human rights of Ugandans when he said, aware of the problems you have been going through, do you still need a federal system of government? That questions of that nature are suicidal.
No. We went and taught them a constitution is a foundation on which you build a house. We have never built our house. Other people are building it for us. We as Uganda, they cut us. Colonialists cut us and say, Munyankore belong here, Muchiga belong here, where?
Nevertheless, Odochi states that this formed part of the 12 controversial issues that emerged during the consultations, including adoption of national language, aspect of citizenship requirements, enforcement of human rights, choice of the political system, provision of traditional leaders, choice of a federal or unitary form of government, choice of electoral and voting system, land tenure system, aspects of legislature, presidency and the executive. Other controversies surrounded the death penalty, the role of the army in politics, difference in political affiliations, religion and ethnicity, which have continued to plague the country.
The final report of the commission was not a very democratic exercise. You see, before all the memoranda, especially from the lowest levels, could be analyzed, the vice chairperson of the commission, Professor Chidubuka, lost his life. Professor Mudola. Some people were tried and convicted of his murder, but the circumstances were suspicious because there was a fight in the CA, in that commission.
After 4 years of consultations, the commission submitted a report of the findings in December 1992. In the next part of the 1995 Constitution at 30, we explore how the Constituent Assembly was established, key contentious issues that emerged during the process, and how consensus was generated. Jackson Onyango, NTV.